Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Fuel for Success, episode 216. It is a Thursday, business and development. I've got my execute hat on backwards, and y'all know it. I'm ripping through it today. It's a Thursday. You can't stop me. You can't hold me down. Me and my partner, Matt, we're tearing it up. Good morning, my friend. How are you?
Man, I am blessed. It is a good day, my friend. I'm happy to be alive, and I like you when your execution hat is on, because guess what? In the next 2 months, you and I are going to be introducing something to the entire world, something that even Oprah's going to want, something that the president of the United States' wife is going to want to use. It's going to be fun, man. I'm excited. I'm sure when I say I'm excited, I'm like excited, like really excited. I'm more excited than 1,000 kids at Disney World put together.
Right. It's not just your normal Matt smashing the guitar on the amp sort of excited. This is like next level excited, which I don't even know what that means. I'm a little bit frightened, frankly.
You're a little what, my friend?
I'm a little bit frightened.
I'm scared. Listen, you know what I've learned, Mike? If your dream doesn't scare you, you're dreaming way too small. I'm scared.
Yeah,
I'm so scared I hunt under the blankets in the morning and think, do I really want to do this? You know.
Yeah. So yesterday was a low energy alert. Was that yesterday or the day before? I don't remember.
That was Monday. You were low energy Monday. Understandable. You had quite a lot going on. You had a lot swimming up here in the head.
Swimming.
You know.
Hey, I want to tell you something. I was looking at our analytics, and one of the things I do, because I'm a data guy, right? I can't help it. I'm a nerd. I should probably have a little propeller on top of this hat. I was looking at our data from our YouTube views and all that stuff. And hey, thanks to everyone who takes the time to watch YouTube videos on the archives, watches our show, and tons of people pouring in. We get well over 1,000 viewers by the time each episode is released for a week. So that's phenomenal. That's fantastic. And but something I noticed. Remember when we first started the show, we made a pact that if we went over 30 minutes, we'd both be sleeping on the floor.
I remember that, but I'm gonna go ahead.
I'm really glad we don't still have that, because pretty much every time.
Well, yeah, you're right. I think we did establish that rule, and I think both, because it's our show. We said, you know what? We're not going to sleep on the floor if we go over 30 minutes, because it's our show, and if we want to go over 30 minutes, we will. So I think that's what happened.
Here's the deal. You're looking at two guys right here. We changed the rules.
We change rules. We make up rules. We do it all.
Awesome. Hey, tomorrow's the last day of October.
I don't even know what to say about it. I sit here and sometimes take 2 to 3 hours in shock that the year's almost over. I'm well planned into next year. Well planned.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, God, mercy. I only get to do this. If I live to be 90, I only get to do this 50 more times. This I love planning the year out. I love planning out my holidays, my vacations. Somebody asked me last night, Mike, what my 3 favorite holidays were. Maybe this isn't the show to share it. I do want to say this. What's going to shock most people is that the 4th of July is pretty close to the top. Christmas is, who can't make Christmas their favorite? Really? But the 4th of July doesn't get us enough attention as it should. It's sad that Halloween gets more attention than the 4th of July almost.
I agree. You know what? When we were in Washington, D.C. this past weekend, of course, it's our nation's capital. It's the first time I've really been there other than connecting through the airports. And I am a patriot. I love the United States of America. Absolutely love it. To all my Canadian friends, sorry. But I love the U.S. of A. And I was actually on a walk the other day, and I'm walking down past these baseball fields. It's cold, blustery rain hitting me in the face, and there's Old Glory flying, and I get choked up when I look at the flag.
I cried during God Bless America last night in the World Series. Even though I thought they could have got a little bit better of a singer, I didn't think it was the best version. It's hard to beat Whitney Houston, though, But I'm with you, Mike. Anytime I see soldiers or flags or anything like that, I'm automatically choked up. Nothing chokes me up like because we fly all the time. So I'm always seeing soldiers in the airport saying goodbye to family. I've seen little kids and moms crying and squeezing their dad and husband. Like, dude, that'll make you just want to, like, you're wrecked for a couple of days,
Yeah. So, yeah, I love 4th of July too. I don't know so what is your order? So it's Christmas, 4th of July. What's number 3?
Valentine's Day. I'm just kidding. I haven't got to celebrate Valentine's Day in like 9 years. I forgot what it was like.
Say that as a joke.
Yeah, Thanksgiving. I mean, I'm a Thanksgiving, Christmas, 4th of July. I love all holidays. But yeah, Valentine's Day, Mike, it's just, I forgot what you do on. I'm just kidding. It's almost to the degree, but we'll talk about that on another day. Mike, speaking of business, if you're going to be successful in business, you've got to be focused. And here we are talking about holidays on our business and entrepreneurship show. We both should sleep on the floor.
No, actually, according to my notes, this is the point where we banter. So we have 4 more seconds of banter. It's totally planned out and focused.
Were you going to say something about Valentine's Day?
No. Other than the fact that
my least favorite holiday would probably be Labor Day. If you got to pick a least, right?
Okay, I'm cool with that. I can respect that.
I like Labor Day. I'm only saying if you're gonna stand here and make me on our show pick a least, I gotta go with Labor Day. Sorry.
I understand.
But now we're coming up with so many holidays. I guess there's a holiday for everything now.
That's true. I'm fond of Rosh Hashanah, and
you're right. Halloween is my least, not Labor Day. Halloween is my least favorite.
You going with Sonya?
I have zero passion for Halloween. Zero.
Same here. Cool. Hey, so let's do that. Let's talk about business, shall we? Because we're actually now 14 seconds. No, I'm just kidding. So, hey, I want to remind everybody that's watching live, ask questions, business development, entrepreneurship, sales, marketing, any of those kind of questions, throw them at us right now. We'll field them live. And if you're watching later on the archives or listening on podcast, by all means, shoot us a text, 727-341-5599, or send us an email, mike@mattmaddox.com. We'll get to your questions on the show as quickly as we possibly can.
Mike, can I throw something just for food for thought since we're on holidays? I'm going to give you 2 food for thoughts. Again, it's freedom of speech, so I'm going to go ahead and give my opinion. I'm going to go ahead and show up, sit down at the table, and have the conversation here. I laugh at churches. Now, I'm in the church. I love the church, but I laugh. I laugh that churches are so against Halloween, but yet dress up as Bible characters and do trick-or-treating at the church out of trunks. Like, this has got to seem, to a person that just sits and thinks, that's got to seem, to me, I'm like, okay, like, you're going to, okay, so it's better if you're going to be against Halloween, as long as you dress up like David or Joseph or Moses and get the candy out of a trunk of a car. Just to me, Mike, I don't know, maybe I'm just too logical. I look at that and I'm like, if you're going to, I know the hardcore people that are like, trick-or-treatings of the devil, but yeah, they still dress up. And they go to the church and they trick-or-treat out of a trunk. Come on, folks. That's just my thought, Mike. I'm leaving it right there, just for everyone to think about. That's all.
I'm with you on that. Seems a little, it's like, anyways, I was going to come up with an analogy, but I had nothing. Something about country music, and then it left me. Okay, so, you know what it's like? It's like saying we are dead set against baseball. Let's go play softball.
Exactly. Or we are not allowed to go to the baseball game. But let's go to watch the rodeo this Saturday night. Yeah, okay. Got you there, my friend. Hey, you know what I'm all about? And I've told my son this, and I guess Mike knows this about me. One word, and that's just consistent. I know this isn't our show about spirituality, and here we're way off, but yeah, let's be consistent. Even as as business owners, be consistent. How many business owners live by double standards? They expect one thing out of their people, but don't do it themselves. How many managers live by double standards? Just don't do that, because people that think, you lose credibility with them. You don't want to lose credibility with people.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And consistency, lack of consistency is one of the things that will destroy productive relationships faster than anything. Hey, Ashley's submitted a question here. I want to jump to it, and it's tangent to business development, because as you're building a business, as you're growing a business, I think there's a massive need to have mentors in your life. And let me just pop the question up here. And her question is, what are some characteristics you absolutely look for in choosing a mentor? And let's frame this question in the context of let's say a business development and sales marketing sort of mentor. Your thoughts on that, my friend?
Well, there's always the option of hiring, because that's sometimes the only way to get a mentor that's like worth getting mentored from. Sometimes you got to pay for it. In my case, our case, both of our cases, we offer coaching services because our time is just, it's valuable. So this is a form of mentoring right here that we do as a give back. Our Field for Success, going out live 12 times a year, doing live mission trips. Here we are, we're accessible, we'll talk, But when it comes to like really sitting, like people email me almost every day, hey, could I have 15 minutes of your time? Like, there's just no, again, I feel like it's fair to say that I'm personable. I'm all about giving back. I'm all about sharing. But at the end of the day, you have to protect your time. So in some instances, Ashley, you do have to invest, in a coach or something like that. You at least offer it, because here's the deal. At the end of the day, there is a law of fair exchange. And like literally, there's nothing wrong with that. It should be that way. Like you can't expect something for free every single time in life. Sometimes you got to be willing to pay for it. So that's one option. Another option is just to like make a list of the top 10 people you want to mentor, and understand there's many different ways to get mentoring from people. Here are 5. Not rarely will it be that you can sit down and have lunch with one of your mentors. Rarely will it be that you can go spend 2 days with them on a beach, hanging out and just talking, or sitting in a cabin. Like, that's just so rare. It doesn't happen in the real world. Rare is it that you can fly on an airplane with them somewhere and have just one-on-one conversation. So, you're obviously mentored through books, through tapes, CDs, YouTube, audio, video. I know, Mike, I just said tapes. Totally dated myself there.
I think we'll release the show on tape later this year. You can get it on 8-track and cassette.
My son's mom called me yesterday and said, hey, I found some of your old VHS tapes of you preaching. Do you want them? And I'm like, what for? I was kind. I'm like, well, but what am I going to, hold on, I got my VCR. I was like, and obviously, don't get me wrong. It was kind of her to ask if I wanted them, and I made a joke out of it, of course. I'm like, oh, yeah, I'd love to have them, because I got like 3 VCRs in my place. But on a serious note, Ashley, as far as finding mentors, you got to know something about mentors. They do not waste time. They do not invest in. They're very careful about how they invest in people. So a lot of times mentors, they're looking for that one thing. The first thing is their instinct. They got to see fire in your eyes. You got to ask good questions when you're around them. If you get 10 minutes around somebody that you want to mentor you, and you tell a story and you talk the whole 10 minutes, your mentoring relationship is done. Like, the last thing you ever want to do in the presence of your mentor is tell a long story or talk. So ask a lot of good questions. You can use Twitter, send them out a tweet, say, hey, I have one question. Again, it depends on the level. Like, if you want to get mentored from Donald Trump, there's only one way: books, YouTube clips. That's it. I mean, the chance of you getting to sit down and have coffee with Donald Trump is about as rare as winning the lottery. So, get my point. It depends on what type of mentor you're seeking out. But if you're at grassroots and there's somebody local that's extremely successful, listen, there's just as many people successful as Donald Trump, just not as maybe well known.
Right.
Maybe not as visible. So I've gotten wisdom from people that were as good as Donald Trump in business that I can call right now. And I've gotten just as much value out of a mentoring relationship from them. But, there's so many. I usually do an hour seminar about this, Ashley, so I'm trying to cover it in 3 minutes here and give you just enough to get you started. But, Mike, we should do a whole show about how to find a mentor, how to be a mentor, all that good stuff.
Yeah. One thing, and Ashley mentioned in the comments, too, of course, she's battling Lyme's disease, and it's taken a lot of her financial resources and so forth, and so it's hard for her to hire a mentor today. YouTube is a great resource, of course, and I would definitely look for people, that have proven track records, right? They've done something. You don't. There's a lot. Here's the thing, and I watch. I don't know if you watch Ask Gary Vee. He talked about what was it? He was talking about gurus, and he said everybody wants to be a guru, but a lot of people don't have the experience to back it up. So you want to look for somebody that's done some things. What's that?
They don't have guru traits.
Well, or they don't have, they've never actually done things. They just want to put themselves out as an expert without actually having gone through the pain and the process of developing expertise, right? Until you have expertise, you can't be an expert. Hello. And so you want to look for in a mentor, you want to look for somebody that's actually accomplished things, that has some, what is it you say, some corn in the crib, Matt? Somebody that's actually produced results, because anybody can talk, right? I mean, anybody can set up a camera and talk, and they may or may not know what they're talking about. The other thing, and I love what Matt said about asking questions. When I was reading the question from Ashley, and then her follow up about not necessarily having the resources to hire a mentor, one of the things that Matt and I both do, like a couple of weeks ago, my wife and I were just sort of in an afternoon off, and we were downtown Stillwater. Ran into this lady that runs, I have her card here, Spice and Tea Company. We're going to have her on the show eventually, Nancy. And it's like she's running this store for about 2.5 years, very health conscious. It's a tea and spice thing, kind of cool. And just ask her questions like, hey, tell me about your business. What's challenging about it? And just those nuggets of information that you can get from people that clearly you encounter them. And I remember the guy in Detroit that started the Mexican restaurant. Right? Like, hey, tell me about this. What was the challenges? What'd you have to overcome? And just finding those moments of mentorship, even if it's not a Donald Trump, if it's not a Mark Cuban, just get that information. I think that's a
and that's the point I was bringing home, Mike, and I appreciate you tying it in, is locally, and even I get mentorship from a lot of retired business people that really are just, how many times can they play golf? They love sitting down and having lunch and sharing their wisdom and their experience. Like, one of my greatest sources of wisdom and knowledge is actually from retired business, older business, multimillionaires. I have many of them that love to talk, and very few people actually sit down and listen to them. So listen, remember, finding gold is not easy. You've got to dig and you've got to search. So finding mentors is not easy at all. It's just something, it's like hunting, You have to be patient, you have to be diligent, and you have to get out in the woods. You have to go where they are. You have to seek them out. Very rarely is a deer just going to show up on your front porch. Like, if you're into hunting, how many times, Mike, has a deer just showed up in your front yard and said, here, shoot me? Like, many people have this entitlement thinking when it comes to mentoring relationships, and they just think that everything should be handed to them. And listen, you've got to seek it out. You've got to go find it. You've got to hustle. You've got to be willing to ask questions. You've got to be willing to, put yourself out there. And again, when you get in the presence, when you get that opportunity, utilize it. Like yesterday, okay, case in point. I met a professional baseball player in my gym that plays for the Tampa Bay Rays, Matt Joyce. Awesome baseball player. So I had like 10 minutes with him and another guy. Last thing I'm going to do is talk. I just ask questions about success, about focus, about training, about work, about discipline. What's your best advice for a 12-year-old baseball player? So I got mentored yesterday. Get it? And I passed that on to my son, and I passed it on to my team last night. So, anyways, but the Shark Tank people, the Marcus Lemonis interviews. If you watch an interview, it's literally almost as if you're sitting down having coffee and listening to that person. Like, interviews to me are the best. So go to YouTube and watch every interview that you can. And that's why I love someone like Gary Vaynerchuk. I would love to have dinner with him, right? But the answers would be no different. I personally would ask questions that nobody else is asking. But the answers that I would get in a 2-hour different dinner are no different than the answers I get off his videos. No different.
That's good. That's good. So there's a level of accessibility there. And then, there's shows like this where there's interactivity. Gary Vaynerchuk does an Ask Gary V where you can like tweet him and ask him a question too. So there's a level of accessibility through social media, through video interview channels and stuff like that. And you should totally take advantage of that as much as you can. I was going to, Lance had said that learning to ask questions is key. It takes practice. And I like the hunting analogy, Matt, that you said, which is like you got to be out in the field, and once you're out there, if you have a shot at a 10-point buck, right, you either take the shot or you don't. And the only way to get better the only way to get better is to do it.
If you miss, he's definitely not staying around. Same thing with a mentor. If you blow it and you talk the whole time, he's gone.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Practice on the range, practice on small game, and then when you get shot at the 10-point buck, you're in good shape.
And then you know what they call it, Mike? You know what they call it? What do they call it when you can't shoot? You can't shoot. What do they call it?
Buck fever.
Buck fever. Don't get mentor fever when you get in their presence and you're like, that you can't ask questions. Hey, Mike, come on. Dude, you've thrown down baseball analogies before and I've been happy. You've got to be happy today. I mean, you really do. I almost should get a handwritten card in the mail. Like, wow, Matt, it really touches me that you would use a hunting analogy on behalf of me and, my passion for hunting.
I appreciate that. Virtual high five for my friend. Come on.
Yeah, I have read that book, Ashley, and it's phenomenal. And it's a good book. But you ready for this, Ashley? I see a lot of businesses trying to follow the model of Tom's. Like, for every cup of coffee you buy, we give a cup of coffee in a third world country. Listen. I have no problem with you copying. I have a problem with it. That's not your heart. You're just doing it because you think it's going to give you more business. That stuff really ticks me off when I see companies do that because I believe Tom's was genuine about it. In fact, he actually went over there and saw the people. So if you haven't actually been over and seen the people and you want to try to, give something away and trying to get people to buy your stuff, you suck. You absolutely suck. Nothing makes me mad than people that do that, Mike. That stuff makes me mad. I'm just going to shoot it straight. Be real. Do not be a phony business person. Oh, yeah, for every, it's like on the airplane. Ready for this? It's like, you buy all this pink lemonade, we donate a portion to breast cancer. I'm like, are you kidding me? Donated all to breast cancer. Like, don't make me buy that pink lemonade chunk that tastes like chunk. That's like drinking pink sugar, and so you're going to give a little, to breast cancer? If you're going to make me drink pink lemonade, give it all to breast cancer.
So, episode 216, the title?
You suck. Yeah, there's just certain things that push my buttons in life, Mike, and that's probably one of them, as y'all can tell.
How do you really feel about this, Matt? Let's talk about that. No, I'm just kidding.
For everyone that watches this show, we're gonna give away $1 to a kid in Africa. What? Kidding? You think we would be that phony? For everyone that attends Division 25, we're gonna give a sleeping bag to a homeless person. What? We're not going there. We're not. We're too genuine for that.
Oh,
But having said that, actually, it's an unbelievable book.
I
And
haven't read
major shout out to Toms, who's probably watching today. Toms, thank you so much for what you've done. Thanks for being real.
Yeah, you talk about world change. I mean, think of the effect that it's had on culture, not only from a social awareness standpoint, but also from a business standpoint. And the bottom line is that it did affect business models. It is a new viable business model because of the vision that Tom's had. So
I
interesting.
know it. So Tommy's asking, will match a sleeping bag at Mission 25 for everyone that brings a sleeping bag? Is that what you're asking, Tommy?
Everybody who comes to a Mission 25 can bring a sleeping bag and give it to a homeless person. We're totally cool with that.
Yeah.
How about that?
Oh, don't misunderstand. What I was saying is, Tommy, we're not going to be phony and be like, hey, for everyone that, shows up at Mission 25, we're going to, that was just an analogy. It was an extreme analogy. I was driving home the point of all these guys that want to try to copy Tom's business model of you buy one thing, we'll give one thing to charity. And hey, cool with it, but you understand, he actually went there and saw those kids. That's why he started Tom's in the first place. Because he legitimately wanted to get shoes on these kids' feet. That's all. That's all.
So Lance's company is planning to give bikes to local underprivileged kids in their community, because he says, I believe that kids deserve a new bike at some point in their life. And I think the point that Matt's making is that that's awesome, and it's all about authenticity, right? I mean, if you're doing it as a business plan, as a way to bolster sales, it's like, look, we can take this social awareness edge and push it over here to drive these sales in this column. Get out of my face, right? But if you're like, dude, look at these kids, they need bikes. We have resources. Let's funnel that to those kids. Awesome.
Mike, you said it, and that's why you're the best partner, because you know how to tie it in. Mike said it right. If Lance, if you're in that neighborhood and you leave crying because kids don't have bikes, and you go home and you say, you know what, for everyone that buys a bike, we're going to give a bike, and you're bleeding with passion for it, then that's my whole point, and it's what Mike said. It's all about the heart and being authentic. Notice I don't have my tea this morning.
Why not? Let's talk about that.
Well, it's actually in the other room, and I just didn't want to hurt your feelings by getting up. That's all. I thought I'd show a little,
Because
consideration.
Yeah. The one time I'm like, oh, really? You get up and leave the show?
I went through 2 weeks of you ignoring me over that. I just don't want to go through that again. It's not worth the tea.
Like that happened. That's funny. What were we talking about? So, Hugh had put another question up here about looking for traits in people to surround yourself with successful people. We've talked about this a little bit, and we've got a couple of minutes left. And in a business sort of a scenario, and as let's say a business owner, let's say you're starting a new business, maybe a home-based business, and you want to have people around you that are going to inspire you and keep you encouraged and that sort of thing. What sort of traits are you going to look for in those people? Just quickly.
Mike, the number one trait I'm looking for is work ethic. The second trait I'm looking for is fierce loyalty. I don't want anybody in my inner circle that's not loyal, period. Or anybody that doesn't have an insane work ethic. The third thing I'm looking for, and these are in no order because they're all equal, is I'm looking for someone that's got a good attitude. I can't work with people that have bad attitudes. I can't. I got to have someone that has a good attitude, even when the chips are down, even when there's pressure. Like, make no mistake about it. The behind the scenes of our life is massive pressure. I mean, massive. But the amount of times that Mike or I have, blown a gasket, I think you can count on this one finger, if that. Meaning, but the drama people, the up and down, I love them. I really do. I will literally, but I just can't have them in my inner circle, Hugh. The up and down drama people that are inconsistent, people that have bad attitudes, people that have mood swings. Like, moody people don't survive around me. You can't be moody. You got to be it's too big, Mike. It's too big. When you got a big vision and you got to carry people while you're trying to carry the vision, you don't want people you got to carry. You want people that push you. You want people that that add value to you, and that you don't always have to try to soothe it over and make sure they're okay and Jesus, I mean, literally, he was moving and shaking, and his inner circle just had to accept it. That sometimes he would say, hey, go on the other side of the ship and go rest. And then he stayed all day and ended up teaching people. And then when they came and said, hey, these people have been here all day, the sun is setting, Jesus said, hey, let's feed them. Like, can you be in that kind of inner circle when it's getting ready to be dark and there's 5,000? 5,000. We're not talking about trying to feed, 150 people. We're talking about 5,000 people. Then he takes their last little bit of food away from them. Now, most people would be whining and pouting and quitting. If you're that way, you don't belong in a world-changing inner circle. Can't tell you the amount of times Mike and I have been down to our last $100 and we've called each other and said, hey, got any cash? I'm like, oh yeah, I got 100 left. Let me give you 80. No joke. I can get behind 20 for 2 days. You know what I'm saying? I got enough peanut butter in the shelves. I got one more bag of ramen noodle.
Half a tank of gas. I'm good. That's reality right there. I was actually, an analogy just popped in my head, and I don't know how it's going to work, but we're going to try it. The success and what we're trying to do, I've heard the analogy of trying to herd cats. I think it's more like if you dumped a gallon of water out on a basketball court and you tried to get it from one free throw line to the other line, and you need people around you that are squeegees, not sponges. That's all there is to it.
Ooh, good analogy, Mr. Hopkins. Britton, I'm going to give you a 20-second answer to that. How do you create a business plan? We're probably the least of people you would want to ask this advice from, because we literally don't. And all that we've done, we've never created a business plan. I know that people in business school are probably like, what? It's literally either or. I mean, the amount of multi-million-dollar businesses, billion-dollar businesses that are around today that had no business plan, and then the amount of multi-million, billion-dollar companies that did have a business plan. I just wouldn't marry yourself to it and feel like it was a deal breaker. It's good if you're that built that way. We're not.
Let me caveat that real quick, and I'm not disagreeing because we haven't. He's absolutely right. But we have done financial plans, right, and projections and strategies, and then also like roadmaps, like a one-page, and that's really the way that I feel like it needs to be done. I mean, if you're going to have a business plan, it should be on one page. If it's longer than that, nobody's going to read it. It's not going to get updated. It's just, it's just going to be a piece of paper that you're going to feel good about, put it away, and never look at again. So
that's actually a good point. Yeah. Thanks for clarifying that, because we do believe in planning, absolutely. But I'm talking about like the actual. What's that?
Yeah, it's like our business plan is a block diagram on a whiteboard, right? You should be able to visualize it. If you can't hold it in your head at one time, it's too complex.
I had a teenager, a really good friend of mine's son, a really good friend. His son called me, and all my friends' kids have access to me. But he called me last night, and I answered. He's going on his first date Friday night, and he's like, what's my opening line gonna be? And he's like all stressed, like, I can't sleep, I don't know what I'm gonna say, what's the first? I said, listen, I want you to say this out loud with me right now. You ready? Here it comes. It's gonna change your life forever. You'll never be the same. You ready? Here it comes. Say this out loud with me. Always keep it simple. And I said, here's your opening line for the date. Hey, how you been doing? Boom. From there, the conversation will continue. Don't overthink it. I mean, what else you going to say? You know what I'm saying? Just come out, look her in the eye and say, hey, how you doing today? Because they're meeting at a conference. So start off by saying, hey, how you doing? Really good to see you. Look in her eyes and say no more. Ask her how she's doing. From there, boom, 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 boom. You know what I've taught you about asking questions and showing interest and whatnot. But Mike, the keep it simple philosophy applies to everything. Way too many people overthink it and overcomplicate it, especially in business. And in today's society, if you're not keeping things simple, you're going to lose people.
Hey, I know we're a little over time, but this is funny because I was talking to my daughter this morning when I was taking her to school, and apparently a guy asked her out yesterday. And I'm like, first of all, I'm like, and she said no. She said, well, I'm not really in dating mode right now, is what she told him. But yeah, I know I'm freaked out. Hang on, let me get my bearings. So I said, well, what did he say? He said, hey, would you like to go out sometime? I'm like, that's so lame. Seriously, that's what he said? I said, you should have laughed in his face.
Yeah, go out sometime. You're right.
Like,
What a
I'm like, he
lame-
wasn't specific. Like, hey, I know this great restaurant, XYZ. Think about going there this Friday night, right? What would stop you from going with me? That would be a great.
You got to do a little soul winning technique in there, huh, my friend? Hey, why not though? Why not? You know, why not? You know, Mike, you're right. Most guys have lost their creativity in talking to ladies, and that could be tomorrow's topic. But good job, Danny, if you're watching, because no guy has a chance. First of all, your dad and all of his guns. Second of all, me and my zero tolerance for any guy that has the nerve to ask you out. Like, there's no hope for her, Mike. You know, if she's complaining that she's still single at 40, it's our fault.
It is our fault. That's good. And
Like, she tells me, hey, Uncle Matt, you know, I'm kind of talking to a guy. I'm like, okay, what's his name? What's his number? I want to call him. When I'm in town, I got to see him. He better come look me in my eye, ask me for his blessing, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, I have no hope between you and my dad.
that's right.
Well,
That's right. So any guy that's watching this, young man, don't even think about it.
don't even think about Danny. If you even send her a friend's request on Facebook, we're coming after you. Hey, Mike, I would like to do a talk show sometime. We think about maybe starting a business one day.
It's interesting. Okay.
Anyways, we love you guys. Sorry about the little bit going over today. Actually, you know what? We're not sorry because we're doing a little bit over every episode to make up for Monday because we weren't able to do our show Monday. But
I'm not sorry in the
thank you
least.
so much.
Matter of fact.
No, we're not sorry. You're not sorry, Eric. Mike, you're a little fired up now that you're just talking about this dude asking your daughter out.
Ticked, man. Are you kidding me? I'm like, what's his name?
Well, as a dad, what would impress you about a young guy asking your daughter? We're going to start tomorrow night. Tomorrow morning's show, we're going to talk about that. As a dad, what would impress you? Probably nothing, but if you had to name one or two, what would it be?
I'll think about that. I'll give it some thought. And Sonia, we love Kenzie too. It was great meeting her.
Oh, she's first class, and we'll punch any guy that tries to date her too, Sonia. So it's very good.
There will be punching.
We swing at missions trips. Just letting you know, me and Mike do swing. We throw punches, let's say.
That's right.
You know, nowadays, Mike, in today's day, like when you say we swing, like 20 years ago, you could say that in innocence. You can't say that now in innocence because our world's so jacked up.
No,
This is the most jacked up history of this is jacked up that I've got to clarify we swing. That's horrible. But we punch. How's that?
That's better. On that note,
On that note, my friends, don't forget to follow us on iTunes. Mike, we should probably just delete this whole episode. Hit us up on YouTube. Go to fuelforsuccess.tv and check us out. Tell your friends about it. We'll see y'all tomorrow morning at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. Enjoy your day, my friends.
God bless y'all. We'll see you tomorrow.